Welcome, everybody. I'm Tanya Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, vibrant body and abundant life coach, and author of Connect with the Divine You book and the Daily Self-Connection Journal. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, stress. And we're going to call this Stress Simplified today in this mini lesson. So in today's little lesson, I'm going to be sharing what is at the root of your stress, as well as some simple tips and tools that you can start using today to feel more peaceful, to balance your body and mind, and over time to help heal your body if you have a symptom, a chronic illness, or another area. The truth is stress can impact any area of our life. It can negatively impact our careers and definitely our relationships. So the first thing I want to start with is, how do you know that you're stressed and how to catch it? So the reason I want us to do this is because many of us wait until we are over the top, right? And so what I want to do for myself and for all of you and my clients is to help us catch it before it gets over the top, to help us to make these changes, to use these tips and tools before it gets over the top. That being said, so what is your stress sign or symptom? How do you know when you're stressed? So again, for me, one of my common ones is GI issues. So when I start to get over the top or, to my limit, and we all have different limits for stress. And so a lot of us listening to this are what I call sensitives or empaths, highly sensitive. So we might need a lot less to trigger our stress to put us over the top than maybe some other people that aren't quite as sensitive. So, and that's okay. That's something to just accept about yourself and not to beat yourself up for that. Okay. So knowing what is your sign or symptom. And again, one of my big ones is my GI. In the past, when I had MS, the symptom that would flare when I had an MS flare was I would have weakness and numbness on mostly the right side of my body, my arm, my leg. My vision would get really blurry in my right eye, to the point that sometimes I would actually lose vision in my right eye. But that was in the past. But currently for me, it's GI issues. Let me know I'm getting to my limit. So it's helpful to know, again, what your sign or symptom is so that once it starts, you can be aware and catch it and then begin to explore what we're going to go into next, right? What are those roots? What are the root causes of our stress, your stress? So let's see here. And the reason we want to do this again is stress is the number one cause and progression of disease and illness. So any illness, any negative symptom in the body is just your body letting you know you have too much stress, too many. Another word would be toxins, right? Your mind and body have become really toxic. So what is at the root? What is the cause? And for many of us, it's going to be more than one thing. Okay. So again, some of you might say, oh my God, it's every single one of these things that you're mentioning. And now I'm overwhelmed about all the things I have to change. So, when you are being honest with yourself and writing down what are the things that are causing you to feel stress right now, mind and body, then you can kind of zone in and say, okay, which one is the biggie right now? I know there's lots of them, but which one can I do something about right now? Or do I want to focus on right now? Because I know it's really the biggie in my life. So here's a list. And again, it's not, there's going to be other things too, but this is kind of a general list on what are some of the root toxins, stressors, that you might be experiencing that are causing you to feel bad mentally and physically, and of course, emotionally. So I would say probably the number one toxic stressor that everybody has to manage is our thoughts. So many of us have this inner critic that is just constantly going on in our head, right? Critical thoughts, self-judgment, shooting on you, have to, supposed to's, and a lot of related to what I call the three P's: perfection, people pleasing, pretending to be superhuman. So a lot of these thoughts are limiting beliefs, fears, some of you might call them as well, that are kind of running constantly in our head, whether we're aware of them or not. Okay, so we want to begin to manage, become aware of and manage those. Again, we can't change anything that we're not aware of. So this is not an invitation to beat yourself up, and to blame yourself. This is just kind of, what is. And awareness and acceptance of what you become aware of, right, is really important when you're doing this type of deeper work. So your thoughts, whether they are negative thoughts about yourself, thoughts and fears around money, beating up on yourself, you get the picture. So some other toxins, maybe you work in a job that you don't really like. Maybe the environment, the people, maybe you just don't like what you do. That can be a stressor. That can be a toxin. Maybe people in your life. Maybe you're surrounded by a lot of negative people or people that are critical of you. And that can be very toxic. Some of you might even be in abusive relationships. And I'm sorry if you are. That adds to your stress levels. Food and chemicals. Oh my gosh. As many of you know, I just moved to the Big Island, and I'm thinking my water's got to be really good. I'm on an island. I realized like 2 days ago, part of my GI distress from moving here was not just, the stress of a big move and transition, which can be another stressor, even though it's a good thing. A move can be very stressful. My water was horribly toxic. And thank God, I found a water filter that takes out most of it. It's called Zero Water. Check it out. It even has a little water tester. I'm already feeling a little bit better after a couple of days. So our food, and chemicals. Again, if you're sensitive, food and chemicals is going to be probably a pretty big one. I, at this point, can eat more like gluten and things like that than I could in the past. But I know that if I eat too much of it, it's going to create more toxin and more stress in my body. The news and social media can be very toxic. Most of the stuff that's on the news is very negative. And again, if you're sensitive, we pick up on that fear, right? The negativity, the fear. And so, like, I stopped watching the news probably 10 years ago now. I still find out everything I need to. I quick look through, scroll through Facebook or my Google News feed just real quickly. I pick up on any of the big stuff I really need to know about. So too much news and social media can be pretty toxic for a lot of us. Some other behaviors. So if you're one of those people that is always on the hamster wheel and you're constantly doing and constantly going, that was, a lot of these behaviors, again, are driven by our fears, by our thoughts and our limiting beliefs. So that doing too much, always busy, that was a huge one for me in healing MS. I had to slow down. I had to stop rushing. I had to stop overscheduling myself. I had to build in a lot more downtime, which can be really hard for that part of us that I call the superhuman. That superhuman part also tries to fix and save other people, be responsible for everything and everyone, talk about stress, right? Trying to control other people, trying to do things perfectly or fear of not doing it perfectly, trying to please others. As we know, we can't possibly please everyone and please ourselves usually. So those are all behaviors that can cause a lot of stress. And of course, again, they're driven by fear, by our limiting beliefs and fears. Many of us still have unresolved trauma. Okay, so unresolved trauma or wounds. And again, these unresolved trauma and wounds have created these toxic thoughts and limiting beliefs and fears. So I'm kind of showing you how everything's connected here. So that's a big one for a lot of us. And stuffing your emotions. And emotions that maybe were stuffed because of these wounds and traumas, you might not even remember a lot of us don't even remember the things that happened because they were so traumatic for us, especially as a child, right? Maybe not as an adult, but as a child, they were very traumatic. So a lot of us have, and not just from traumas, from day to day. Many of us didn't learn how to acknowledge and express and feel and release our emotions in healthy ways. So stuffed emotions is a big one, whether they come from past traumas or something that happened today, right? So anger, fear, sadness, grief. And then because we're sensitive, as I said before, many of you listening to this are highly sensitive, empathic. We, without even knowing it, take on other people's emotions. And so we want to really work on not just feeling and releasing our own, but then clearing out other people's emotions as well. And again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, we can also have good things that happen. And not everything, has to be negative that causes stress. Getting into a new relationship, a new job, a new location, right? A move, getting married. So things that are positive can still cause stress. And why is that? Well, usually when we're doing something new, getting into something new, unknown, different, it stirs up all those fears, right? And again, ones that we might be aware of, many of us, and ones that are not. Even fears that we have worked on for many years can get triggered anytime we do something new. I'm going to say, especially the perfectionist part of me, right? The part of me that says, oh my God, I'm so afraid I'm going to make a mistake or that I'm not going to be good enough and I'm going to be rejected. Um, can cause a lot of stress when I'm doing something new. This move to Hawaii has stirred up a lot of fear, a lot of the unknown, a lot of the not feeling safe in the world. So, of course, my GI system kicked up again. So, those are not everything, but some pretty common stressors. And so, I just want to say next that the good news is we all have the power now to change any of these things that are stressing us out, right? We can learn tools now and we have the power to make changes now. We're not stuck and helpless like we were as children, but many of us still think we are. And that's why we stay stuck. And that's why we stay stuck and stressed. So again, we can change anything now and we can learn tools. So in my programs, I talk about two ways of releasing stress. One is on a daily basis, right? So taking care of our daily stressors and being able to release those, a lot of the emotions and things like that. But then we also have the stressors that are more things that might take a little time to change. So like a job or a relationship, things that are a little bit bigger. So we want tools that can release stress from our body and mind on a daily basis, and then also looking at things that we can change externally. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few of those that you can start today if you feel guided to. So, number one, write and reflect. Again, what is that stress sign or symptom for you? And you might have several. Might be a GI issue, might be sleeplessness, insomnia, might be headaches or migraines, fatigue. Some of you, it might be something bigger, like a big diagnosis, cancer, MS, or another autoimmune disease. Okay, so what is that sign or symptom from your body that you are way too toxic, too much stress? So take a minute to write that down. Again, we can't change anything we're not aware of. We're not using this to beat ourselves up. All right. And pause this at any time if you need to. Next, from the long-ish list that I gave you, again, be really honest and also compassionate with yourself. What do you feel is at the root? What are the toxins that you might need to start focusing on in order to bring that stress level down in your mind and body? Is it you have to work on your negative self-talk? Maybe you have a lot of fears that you need to work with and soothing those. And I'll give you a tool for that in a moment. Maybe you are being honest with yourself and you are just like, you know what? It's the job. And so what can I change about the job? Is it something I can change? Like maybe I need to work on my perfection or my people pleasing or trying to be superhuman at work? Or is it just like a really toxic environment? When I was healing the MS, um, I had to work less. So I had to decrease the number of hours I was doing, right? So it was the hospital environment, and I was taking on everyone else's. I didn't know at the time I was sensitive, was taking on all the patients and even my coworkers' stress. But then physically, it was just too many hours to work full time. So I had to work part time. So what changes might you need to make in your job? You might just need to find a new job, some of you. And again, these are things, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, okay? What needs to change in a relationship that you're in? Or maybe you're going to be called to leave a relationship, right? So, you know, at one point I realized I had to leave my marriage in order to fully heal the MS and stay healthy, right? And not get it back. It just wasn't a good fit. Neither of us was bad. It wasn't a good fit. Let's see what else. So yeah, just going through the list that I gave earlier, and what things do you need to change something about your food, chemicals? And again, I'm going to go into this in some of my deeper into my program, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, how you can get that support if you want to. All right. Something else that probably everyone needs to work on, just like our negative thinking and negative thoughts and negative self-talk, is most people on the planet need more space. They need to have more time in their schedule for rest, healing, and play. They're just doing too much. They need some downtime. And, I get a lot of clients that come to me and they say, yeah, but you know, I do play a lot, but they're not resting enough. They're not having enough downtime. And I don't just mean sleeping. I mean time like that you're not scheduled in doing something. So many of us need to put more blocks of time on a daily basis into our calendar, which means we might need to let go of some things and say no and ask for more support or delegate things at home and or work. And I know, again, that's not easy, because we've got our 3 Ps. The superhuman probably is like, hell no. And so yeah, we'll have ways to work with those parts of you as well. And then another thing that is super simple is using a guided therapeutic meditation practice. One of the tools that I have every day. And a lot of people I work with use it when they fall asleep at night to release the stress from the day, whether it's theirs or releasing other people's stuff that they took on because they're sensitive. You might also want to listen to it after work or on your lunch break. For many of us, I think that's a great idea. And when I was really sick with MS, I did it every day after work. I got done with work at like 2:00. And so I'd lay down and I would do it every day, or you could sit in a comfortable position. And those of you that wake up in the morning feeling very anxious or stressed, you might use it in the morning to bring down that stress right away in the morning, not wait till the end of the day. So everyone listening to this has either a sample guided meditation practice or if you're in one of my programs, you've got, several or many. So those are a few recommendations, tips, and tools that you can get started with in order to decrease the toxins, the stressors from body and mind in your life, to have more life balance. And then if you'd like more support from me, I've got a couple of options. You can sign up just for one key this month, the Stress and Life Balance Key. Or I have a 3-month journey called Stress Less and Nurture You, which includes the Stress and Life Balance Key. Or you can sign up for all 10 Vibrant Body and Abundant Life keys in the Journey program, Vibrant Body and Abundant Life Journey, and you get the Stress and Life Balance Key. And I also have a free complimentary class coming up called Fill Your Cup and Keep It Full: How to Prevent Overwhelm, Burnout, and Decrease Illness. So I'll be going into some of these things a little bit deeper in that complimentary class. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. If you like it, you can go ahead and like it on YouTube. Feel free to share it with coworkers, family, friends, anybody that you think would benefit from it. And again, don't try to decrease all of your stressors or toxins at once. That can create more stress, more overwhelm and stress. So, just start with maybe using a guided meditation practice once a day, and then focusing on one other area of your life. That's a good one to help release emotions, whether it's from the day or for unresolved past trauma. It also helps you to shift those limiting thoughts and beliefs and fears, okay? It helps soothe the nervous system. So that one I would for sure recommend. And then find one other life area, right? That maybe you want to focus on shifting so you can create less stress, bring that stress level down in your life. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to supporting you on a deeper level when you're ready. Bye.